What you're looking at here is a development vehicle for Nissan Australia, a bit of a precursor to the Navara N-Trek Warrior. Now don't pay attention to the wheels, don't pay attention to the bull bar, they're all going to change. This is just a prototype vehicle. But what you can pay attention to is the suspension underneath this thing. It's a setup that's been designed, conceived, tuned and tested in Australia for Australian conditions. And Nissan want this thing to be a great off-road vehicle as well as being a very, very good four-wheel drive ute on road. There are new springs and shock absorbers for this N-Trek Warrior, which leaves the ute with better ground clearance for off-roading. The shocks are bigger, with twin tube construction and 35mm pistons. They've also been tuned specifically for better control and off-road ability as a package with the new springs. The wheels on the final product will be different to the ones you see here, but importantly, these aftermarket wheels have the right diameter and offset to help accommodate the tyres and suspension. The N-Trek Warrior also comes with new, bigger tyres, Cooper AT3 all-terrains with light truck construction and 32 inches of diameter. So like I said, this is a development vehicle for Nissan, so it's got a lot of telemetry gear in it, measuring the suspension travel, where it's going, how fast it's moving around and that sort of thing. You can probably see the computer and all the wires in the back here that's logging all of that information. So they're out here getting it fine-tuned, but they're also about 99% complete. So this is pretty much all bar the shouting, the suspension that will end up in the N-Trek Warrior. And I've got to say, it's pretty bloody good. The car is a bit taller, it's got a bit more suspension about it, sits a bit wider too with a wider wheel track, and these tyres, these Cooper AT3s, they're a bit taller and they're a bit wider as well. So naturally it's going to be better off-road because it's got more ground clearance, it's got more tyre, it's got more traction. But what I do like about it mostly is the suspension tune. These shocks, they're bigger, they've got a bigger piston in them, which is always good, more oil, that sort of thing. But they're tuned really nicely to control the movement of the car. Going over bumps like these ones here, you can carry a fair bit of speed actually, and the car stays controlled, it stays quite smooth. It doesn't bottom out, it doesn't knock around and sort of lose composure and lose speed. Your wheels are staying on the ground more often. And I think part of that is because Nissan hasn't just whacked some stiffer springs in this thing to lift it up. Easiest way to do it, but a stiffer spring means a stiffer ride. And you lose a lot of composure and you lose a bit of off-road capability as well. The front springs in this Navara N-Trek Warrior are actually a little bit softer in terms of spring rate, but they're a taller spring overall. That's how they gain the height. And progressive rate bump stops in the front too, they're awesome. That means that when you do start to bottom out, it feels smoother, it feels more progressive. While it's not a fully bypass shock setup like a Ranger Raptor for example, this thing does drive really, really nicely on rough rutted roads like this, and significantly better than a normal Navara. That's not to say the Navara is a bad ute either, it's actually quite good. But this is a definite improvement. More capable off-road, more fun to drive, and just a better ute overall because it's got better suspension. Who would have thought? Initial impressions after driving this test mule are very positive. Premcar have effectively done what the aftermarket industry has been doing for a long time. Add more tyres, more suspension and more suspension travel to a four-wheel drive ute. Using this gear means your tyres and your suspension will be more durable for hard off-roading as well. Premcar has tuned the suspension really nicely, giving the Navara more capability and poise off-road. In my opinion, it's a great improvement over the standard offering. The big question is though, how will it all come together as a final product on the showroom floor? Make sure you stay up to date on caradvice.com for all the juicy details.